Hope all are well today. Our video topic is on dive bomber aircraft. Before starting the video, firstly we should know some basics about dive bomber aircraft. A dive bomber is a bomber aircraft that dives directly at its targets to provide greater accuracy for the bomb it drops. Diving towards the target simplifies the bomb's trajectory and allows the pilot to keep visual contact throughout the bomb run. This allows attacks on point targets and ships, which were difficult to attack with conventional level bombers. At this time, a dive bomber dives at a steep angle, normally between 45 and 60 degrees, or even up to a near vertical dive of 80 degrees, with a Junkers Ju-87, and thus requires an abrupt pull-up after dropping its bombs. This puts great strain on both pilot and aircraft. It demands an aircraft of strong construction, with some means to slow its dive. This limited the class to light bomber designs with ordnance loads in the range of 1,000 pounds, 450 kilograms, although there were larger examples. The most famous examples are the Junkers Ju-87 Stuka, which was widely used during the opening stages of World War II, and the Aichi D3A dive bomber, which sank more Allied warships during the war than any other Axis aircraft, and the Douglas SBD Dauntless, which sank more Japanese shipping than any other Allied aircraft type. The SBD Dauntless helped win the Battle of Midway, was instrumental in the victory at the Battle of the Coral Sea, and fought in every US battle involving carrier aircraft. An alternative technique, glide bombing, allowed the use of heavier aircraft, which faced far greater difficulties in recovering from near vertical approaches, and allowed greater use of sophisticated bomb sights and aiming techniques by a specialized member of aircrews, namely a bomb aimer. When released from an aircraft, a bomb carries with it the aircraft's momentum. In the case of a bomber flying horizontally, the bomb will initially only be traveling forward. This forward motion is opposed by the drag of the air, so the forward motion decreases over time. Additionally, gravity causes the bomb to accelerate after it is dropped. The combination of these two forces, drag and gravity, results in a complex pseudo-parabolic trajectory. The distance that the bomb moves forward while it falls is known as its range. If the range for a given set of conditions is calculated, simple trigonometry can be used to find the angle between the aircraft and the target. By setting the bomb sight to this range angle, the aircraft can time the drop of its bombs at the instant when the target is lined up in the sight. This was only effective for area bombing, however, since the path of the bomb is only roughly estimated. Large formations could drop bombs on an area hoping to hit a specific target, but there was no guarantee of success, and huge areas around the target would also be hit. The advantage to this approach, however, was that it is easy to build such an aircraft and fly it at high altitude, keeping it out of range of ground-based defenses. The horizontal bomber was thus ill-suited for the tactical bombing, particularly in close support. Attempts at using high-altitude bombing in near proximity to troops often ended in tragedy, with bombs both hitting their targets and friendly troops indiscriminately. In attacking shipping, the problems of inaccuracy were amplified by the fact that the target could be moving and could change its direction between the time that the bombs were released and the time that they arrived. Successful strikes on marine vessels by horizontal bombers were extremely rare. An aircraft diving vertically minimizes its horizontal velocity component. When the bomb is dropped, the force of gravity simply increases its speed along its nearly vertical trajectory. The bomb travels a virtually straight line between release and impact, eliminating the need for complex calculations. The aircraft simply aims at the target and releases its bombs. The primary source of error is the effect of wind on the bomb's flight path after release. As bombs are streamlined and heavy, the wind has only a slight effect on them, and the bomb is likely to fall within its lethal radius of the target. In the 1930s and early 1940s, dive bombing was the best method for attacking high-value compact targets, like bridges and ships, with accuracy. The forces generated when the aircraft levels out at the bottom of the dive are considerable. The drawback of modifying and strengthening an aircraft for near vertical dives was the loss of performance. Aside from the greater strength requirements, during normal horizontal flight, aircraft are normally designed to return to fly straight and level. But when put into a dive, the changes in forces affecting the aircraft now cause the aircraft to track across the target unless the pilot applies considerable force to keep the nose down, with a corresponding decrease in accuracy. To compensate, many dive bombers were designed to be trimmed out, either through the use of special dive flaps or through changes in tailplane trim that must be readjusted when the dive is completed. A dive bomber was vulnerable to low-level ground fire as it dived towards its target, since it was often headed in a straight line directly towards the defenders. At higher levels, this was less of a problem, as larger anti-aircraft shells were fused to explode at specific altitudes, which is impossible to determine while the plane is diving. In addition, most higher altitude gunners and gunnery systems were designed to calculate the lateral movement of a target. While diving, the target appears almost stationary. Also, many anti-aircraft mounts could not fire directly up, so dive bombers were rarely exposed to fire from directly ahead. After World War II, the rise of precision-guided munitions and improved anti-aircraft defenses, both fixed gunnery positions and fighter interception, led to a fundamental change in dive bombing. New weapons, such as rockets, allowed for better accuracy from smaller dive angles and greater distances. They could be fitted to almost any aircraft, including fighters, improving their effectiveness without the inherent vulnerabilities of dive bombers, which needed air superiority to operate effectively. We hoped you enjoyed our video about dive bombers. I salute the courage of dive bomber pilots who did their jobs during the Second World War, as it was the most difficult task a pilot can face during their career. Subscribe to the channel if you liked our video. Bomb sighting becomes trivial, requiring only a straight line of sight to the target. This was simplified as the aircraft was pointed directly at the target, making sighting over the nose much easier. Differences in the path of different bombs, due to differing ballistics, can be corrected by selecting a standardized bombing altitude and then adjusting the dive angle slightly for each case. As the bomber dives, the aim could be continually adjusted. In contrast, when a horizontal bomber veers offline while approaching the bomb release point, turning to the angle that would correct this also changes the speed of the aircraft over the ground when there is a wind and thereby changes the range as well.